much for joining me on Being Indispensable. My name's Liz Van Vliet. We're all dispensable. I know that better than anyone. I'm a breast cancer survivor. But that doesn't mean that we can't invest in ourselves to improve the skills and capabilities that are going to help us stand out and be perceived as indispensable. Being indispensable is also about the being side of the equation. Because if we're not looking after ourselves and our own well-being, then we have no hope of showing up as indispensable in the workplace. Hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to episode 56 of Being Indispensable. And as you can tell, I'm recording this on the go. So it's a road rambling episode. I am on my way to go and find a cafe to sit in because I have some writing that I need to do. But following that, I have an appointment with my personal trainer. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to share with you because you know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, that I share honestly in the hope that it makes it easier for those of you out there that find it harder to be, to share things that are, on the sensitive side, for you to feel okay about things that you might be able to relate to when you listen to me ramble on. And one of the things that I have done is I organised, as you know, if you've listened to the first Being episode a couple of episodes back, it was about the fact that my word for 2018 is strengthen. And I had set myself the challenge of walking most days, and I'd incorporated stairs so that I was building up my strength in my gluteus maximus, my butt muscles. And the other thing that I had done was that I had felt over the last month, well, probably the last couple of months really, I'd thought, you know what, I know I can do this all on my own, but I also have this inherent weakness in my core from my surgery following my breast cancer, when I had a type of reconstruction that used some of my abdominal muscles. And as a result, I have weakness in my sort of midsection, because I have a section where I don't have muscle there anymore. I have mesh. And because that bit of muscle went to make my new breasts. Now, that was great, but I, in hindsight, could never have envisaged how much I would struggle with keeping myself stable through my midsection. And that's something that I deal with, on an ongoing basis, because I don't have, we all hear about sort of, working on your core, and, especially if you've had children, you'll know all about your core muscles. But what tends to happen is that when we don't have a particularly strong core, our superficial abdominals, they're called, your abdominis rectus, I think they're called, that's the six-pack muscles. They tend to compensate for a weak core. So having a weak core is not the end of the world, because you've got those superficial muscles to compensate. And in my case, what I've found is that because I've got a particularly long torso, and it's a bit of a double whammy, because it means that I'm a bit of a tree swaying in the breeze at the best of times. And now that I've been without this section of rectus abdominis muscle, which went to sort of build the slings for my new boobs, and I've always struggled with a weak core because I'm a bit of a floppy person. I've never been particularly strong in my core. It's been a double whammy, and the bottom line is that it's been one of the things that's contributed to me being, having back problems and weakness that has required me to go and do physio and Pilates throughout my recovery. For the first couple of years, that was sort of a lot of what I did was Pilates-based rehab, and that was great. But the minute I stopped it, all of those problems came back. And what I've found is that even though I have got on this sort of strengthened bandwagon, I have this persistent problem with my core and my sort of core, my midsection, weakness in my tummy muscles. And I decided that I should also get a personal trainer. And that was a great idea, and I was all for it. But what it's brought out in me, and the point of this episode really, sorry for all the rambling, is that it's brought out my issue with external accountability. Because one of the reasons I thought it was a great idea to get a personal trainer was because I am an obliger in the Gretchen Rubin speak, and I struggle with internal accountability. In other words, I'll say I'm going to strengthen myself and I'm going to go out most days walking. And when I do that, I'm also going to engage in doing my, my mat exercises. But what was happening was that because I was hopeless with internal accountability, I was doing the walking and I was doing the stairs, but I wasn't always doing my mat exercises. In other words, I wasn't strengthening my core purposefully. So I thought, okay, let's get a personal trainer and get some external accountability. And so I went about doing that. And then what's happened, and this is the aha moment for you all, is that my fight or flight reflex kicked in. Because the minute I had that personal trainer, giving me that attention and asking me via text message, have you done blah, blah, have you filled in your food diary, all of the things that you get a personal trainer to do, my innate reaction was to freak out, because I have a lot of, guilt and shame about this, my body and, coming back from breast cancer and putting on weight and not, and not being that poster child breast cancer survivor that, lives this sort of virtuous life of, not drinking, not eating bad food, having a healthy lifestyle. I feel like a failure in a lot of ways in those areas, and I have struggled with that. And now that I've got this personal trainer who's wanting me to be accountable, or, there is that accountability there, I have found that my subconscious has reacted like a terrified child. And so I've been, gone off the deep end of, if I can get my hands on, any sort of sugary food, I've been doing that. And over Easter, I certainly, oh, hey, by the way, happy Easter. I certainly, didn't hold back when it came to, enjoying a bit of festive food. So, that would be fine. And anybody else would just go, oh, okay, stop being so hard on yourself. You've got a personal trainer. It's going to take a few weeks for you to get used to being accountable to someone. It's all for the best. Just keep going. But me getting to that point involves a little bit of histrionics in my little mind of, freaking out and having, my mind playing tricks on me, saying things like, those inner voices that say, this was such a bad idea, what were you thinking, you're never going to be able to do this, you're never going to be able to lose a little bit of weight, you're never going to be able to get that strength back in your core, you chose this surgery and, you should never have had this type of surgery, blah, 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 blah. As you can tell, these are all irrational things. But in the spirit of being honest and being, transparent, I don't feel that I can put up posts on Instagram, with my smiling, sweaty face, having you guys thinking that, isn't Liz amazing? She's doing all this great stuff, without there, being the truth side of it, that it's not easy and I'm struggling with it. And, I am on my way to the personal trainer and I've been honest with her about how I'm feeling. And, to me, there's no point. I am all about honesty. So in the spirit of honesty, that's my episode for today, that, we are human and I am human and own all of my weaknesses. And one of those weaknesses is those inner voices that just can make things so much harder than they need to be. And I really hope that you're listening to this and going, oh my God, she is such a basket case. And thank goodness I'm not like that, because, yay for you and I'm so pleased for you. But if you do struggle with those inner voices, then just know that you're not alone. And, at the end of the day, this is all about being kind to ourselves, and that, accepting, as Brene Brown calls them, our gifts of imperfection. And boy, I have been rewarded with so many gifts of imperfection. Anyway, wishing you guys a belated happy Easter. Hope that wherever you are in the world, you had a lovely Easter break. For those of you that are religious, that you had time to reflect on, the sacrifice that Jesus made for us. That's really it for this week. Wish me luck. I'm off to go to do a bit of writing and then go and see my lovely personal trainer, whose name is Sarah. Thanks for listening, and see you next week with an indispensable episode. Thanks for listening to today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see the show notes, head over to my website. It would be great if you haven't already done so. If you enjoyed the show, if you could kindly go to iTunes and leave a review. It helps other people find the show. Thanks for listening and have a great week.